Okay, so this is my newest project. I ran down to Springfield, picked this up like 1 in the morning, and then brought it back, started tearing it apart. It had this, you know how 550 with a 6-speed sitting in the back. It did have this live axle on it, had those tires, the wiring and battery, and all the electronics. It'll fire up and stuff, but I never put the carburetors on it to actually run it, just ran off starter fluid. But it's got all that stuff. The issue was, when he built this frame, wasn't really thinking ahead. And so the engine mounts, which I already cut 2 off, didn't line everything up with the axle. And the axle isn't keyed, so you can't adjust where your sprocket and brakes are. They're welded on there, which I find kind of dumb, but yeah, so I'm tearing it apart. And then he didn't set anything up for the steering, and also put these things on backwards. So our steering tab is on the back. So, and also you can't really get a rack and pinion unless you take it out of a car to fit on this thing. It's just too wide in the front unless you did a lot of customizing it. And so, yeah, he had the seat on. I already tore it out, but I put it back in just to see, because I'm about to start marking the frame up to cut off the front end and redo it. Should be fun. Got the frame stripped down a little more. The wheels and suspension is off. The roll cage is off. Roll cage wasn't really held on by much. That one came right off if it rolled. So yeah, next we're gonna get this thing cut up and put inward for the steering rack. And then we'll probably put the suspension back on. Might wait though until I get some more material. I don't want to reuse these tabs that he used because they're a little thin. So yeah, a little check-in on the progress. Cutting up this front end, getting it. So you see on this side it's not cut up yet. You get that bar coming across there. I took this sides out, cut it and fit it into here, because I'm gonna be cutting this here and here, so that it's just that, and then it'll be the same thing on the other side. And then that'll give us enough room for our steering and also our suspension, and our wheels will be able to rotate. It's cut up and put back how I think I want it, and I cleaned everything up with this nice little wire wheel in there. So now it's gonna get welded up. Top welds are done, flipped it over and moving on to the bottom welds. Alright, it's back upright, looking good. These aren't welded out because I just put those on there because I didn't have anything for that, and those are pretty much a perfect fit, except this. I'll probably just cut that off. It's not very necessary. And then I don't like that seat, so I want to get a different seat in here. And then the back needs to be cut up eventually, not yet though. I'll get the front done, then do the back. Get suspension in it, make it rotating. And then we'll get the axle back on. Then we'll get an engine set up in there. I don't know if I'm gonna use this one, but we'll get something in there. And then it'll be ready to go. It's the next day and we got some parts, the shocks for the rear and then the steering assembly for the front. Not sure Probably gonna need to get some extensions in there for the steering. I'm not sure if this thing's gonna have enough travel, but hopefully. Oh, the dogs are playing. Hopefully it all does and works out. There shouldn't be anything wrong. They're kind of stiff, but that's fine. So here's that steering rack. I'm looking at it and I don't think there's gonna be enough travel in this for our suspension setup. And so I'm gonna pull it apart and then pull this piece off and then replace this bolt with a different thing, like one of those bolts where it's got the eye and the bearing in it, so you can swivel it literally however many degrees you want, and that should give us, well, that'll give us unlimited travel, but that'll give us what we need. I couldn't find exactly what I needed at any of the hardware stores I went to, but so I have these ones that are just sitting around. So what I did was I took this guy, put it in here, cut off the bolt, and I'm just gonna weld this to here because that'll give me the right thread pitch here to go on to the end of the steering rack, and then should work from there. Here they are tacked up on there. Let's see, and that will allow to come up and down as far as our suspension needs, instead of just that tiny little bit. Here's where we're at now. Steering and everything is all good. Got it mounted up. There's those welded bolt tab things to extend that. Oops. Yeah, it all works. So now I just need to do the steering wheel mount and get it all aligned. It's close, but not perfect. I'm gonna wait till I got that thing done to do that. And for the back end, I cut it off, as you can see. And I'm currently making the tabs for the suspension to mount onto for the rear, so it can go like this, and it'll take up this chunk here, and then some other tabs for the bottom, so that it just bolts on, and then it can swivel and actually be suspended. They're drilled, about to get cut up. Yeah, that one I messed up on, and so we're losing one tab out of that one. This one's good though. So they're drilled. One thing I wouldn't cheap out on in life is definitely drill bits. Good drill bits are super nice to have. Drill hole after hole and not take 5 hours. Got the back end back on, tabs are tacked in place, everything's looking good. So now we just need to weld it out, and then we'll get the axle back on there. It's welded out, and we're about to do the first test right now. See if this thing snaps in half or if it compresses. Oh yeah. I feel like the back is a little stiff. The front definitely has more to do. I'm gonna stand back. Well, no, I need to stand right here. I wonder if we can cut some coils out of there. Maybe just try unbolting one. Alright, we got one hooked up now. Oh, it definitely has more give. That's about where I want it. I want this thing bouncy. Yeah, I'll probably just cut a couple springs out of here so that we can have the stability of two. We got this frame put together. There's our axle mounts. It's fully welded out on the bottom. Figured I'd just do a little bit of reinforcement on top. I need to get some more bolts. Also get the right hardware for this stuff, and then also the shocks up here need the right hardware. You just need to get the right hardware for everything to mount up, because some of this stuff might work, but and we need to reinforce the steering wheel and reinforce the stuff holding it, because I was testing it out and this stuff's banging. I think what I want to do is do a tube that'll slip over both those ends, and then it'll be super sturdy. Just need to get the right tube. I'll redo this one too, because I know that's not holding. Other than that, it's time for the motor. So I'm gonna go pull it apart and see what's going on with it. Wanted to show you and I ended up using this 1-inch tube for that extension piece. Got the nut welded in there. Works a lot better than those 2 pieces of 14 gauge. A lot sturdier. We went ahead and took the headers off. They're laying over here. And then did a compression test. And came out decent. So thinking it should run once we get the carburetors on, everything cleaned up. Make sure we got good ignition. But till we get all that hooked up, because the wiring was such a mess and I couldn't even figure out how to get it back to where this is supposed to be the starter motor, and it was working when I pulled it off, and now it's not. So I'm going through all of the wires and I'm gonna clean out everything we don't need and then see where we'll go from there. So for right now, got that in there just because I need it to be out of my way, but that's not the motor I want to use. So I think it's a good stopping point right now. Stop and then come back when I've got the right motor, and then get all that going, get brakes on there, and finish the roll cage.